Yo, what's going on?
Yo.
How you feeling, Wonderbread?
I'm sick.
Oh, I hope you get over that cold.
I'm
man.
a little under the weather, but I'm going to push through because pain is temporary and film is forever.
Yeah, welcome to Wonderbread DTArtman and Movies, episode 3. Today we're here to talk about yet another film with you, but this time we're going to take a walk on the wild side. Tell them what we got, Wonderbread.
So we are doing Jumanji today with Robin Williams, Kirsten Dunst, and a couple other actors I can't remember the names of.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the names.
Robin Williams is all that matters because he's our favorite.
Okay, for those of you who don't know Jumanji, basically Jumanji starts out where a young boy named Alan Parrish discovers an ancient board game that just so happens to be cursed. The players of the game are cursed with the consequences, which involve African animals coming out from the jungle and to try and kill them. And they have to survive it in order to beat the game.
Yeah, so we both saw this movie when we were a lot younger. It came out during the time where we were little tiny babies.
1995 to be exact.
Yeah, and as far as like review scores go, like we looked at this one and we were actually kind of surprised. Right now it's currently sitting at a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, when I looked at it, I was like, hold up, wait a minute. Timeout, flag on the play, offsides clipping. I was like, 48%? It deserves a little higher than that.
Yeah, well, I would say we'll get into that a lot later, but one of the reasons I think why critics weren't as friendly to it as we were when we first watched it, I guess at that time they weren't used to the cornball, goofball material that was happening in the movie. It's technically a fantasy adventure film, but not like a family film. And Joe Johnston, the director, treats it more like a family adventure with a dark twist on it. So he's mixing a lot of elements together.
I mean, you're basing it on a board game. There's really not too much serious to be about it. There's really not too much seriousness that goes into it. But it's like, at the same time, I see where they're coming from, but I'm just like, 48%. Like,
yeah,
come on, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And we're talking about the director, Joe Johnston. The interesting thing about him is that he's a remarkably average director. He's made good and bad movies, but his good movies, none of them are like masterpieces. They're all solid movies, and his bad movies are like not like terrible movies, but like meh movies.
Yeah.
He's a very meh, solid director, average.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's no Martin Scorsese, but he knows how to make a movie for all audiences.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you went.
Oh, okay. So a couple of other movies he's done. In recent years, the most prolific I would say would be The First Avenger, Captain America. He did that, and I kind of got his campy style of that one because there's an overuse of CG effects. There's lots of corny dialogue taking place. And then other examples of movies he's done. He did The Rocketeer, which I have yet to see, but I hear it's amazing because it's one of those really fun adventure movies from the early 90s. He also did, if we're talking about the worst movies he's done, he also did Jurassic Park 3, which, Jurassic Park 3 is down there. But he also did Hidalgo with Viggo Mortensen, the guy from Lord of the Rings. I don't know if you've seen that, but that was a pretty decent movie. It's nice production value. And October Sky with Jake Gyllenhaal at a young age.
Yeah, October Sky was actually a pretty good film.
Yeah, so the director, he knows what he's doing most of the time. He's just never hit the critical acclaim spot that he deserves. But he's got tons of experience, but he's never hit that spot yet.
All right, now back to Jumanji. You see Alan Parrish trying to play the game with his childhood friend, Sarah Whittle. They play the game, and then all of a sudden, things start coming out. Like the first riddle, Sarah Whittle read this. At night, you better run. These winged things, they're not much fun. You can guess what that is. It's
Batman.
Bats.
Batman. Batman, because I'm Batman.
Yeah, and then Alan does his turn, and then he gets a riddle that says, in the jungle you must wait until the dice read 5 or 8. And then all of a sudden he's sucked down into the game. And then afterwards the bats chase Sarah Whittle out of the house. And then it's a 26-year time gap. And then we come in and see Judy and Peter come into the fold, where their parents have died due to a car accident, and then their aunt discovers the Alan Parrish home Alan Parrish's home, and then she buys it.
Oh, yeah. Now, talking about the cast of characters, nothing can be said already that hasn't been said about Robin Williams. In my personal opinion, I think he's one of the greatest actors of all time. And yeah, I'm putting him up there with people like Humphrey Bogart, lots of the old classic movie stars, because he was able to transcend comedy and go to drama. Like, this is more of a comedy, but like he's got so much range as an actor, and we all miss him.
Yes, R.I.P.
But this guy, he could do pretty much almost any genre of film. He could do a horror film if he wanted to, because he proved himself with Insomnia. He proved himself with movies like The Fisher King, if we're doing dramatic territory. His magnum opus performance from Good Will Hunting is also up there. And then,
I liked What Dreams May Come.
That was a pretty good one, too. I have more negative thoughts about that one, but it has nothing to do with Robin Williams. And then as far as the young actors go, I know Kirsten Dunst is in this movie at a young age.
Yeah.
Which I don't like Kirsten Dunst too much, but I was impressed by her performance as a child actor, as a teenage actor.
Oh, definitely, most definitely.
Yeah, and I think my favorite person in the movie is definitely the Van Pelt Hunter character.
Oh, man.
I think he's played by Jonathan Hyde.
Who also plays Alan's dad.
I did not know that until this morning when I did more research about the movie. I was really surprised. I didn't notice it as a kid. It's clever. It's clever makeup from the production team to hide that fact. And he's such a cool guy in this movie because he's got this very thick accent and he's hunting Robin Williams.
Yeah, and speaking of the hunter, he's basically a consequence out of the game, and Alan had to deal with him during his tenure inside the game, which made it. After he came out, Alan immediately runs out of the room because he knows what this guy is trying to do. He's trying to kill him for like sport or something like that. It's just some odd reason. He just has this disdain towards him.
He's like the predator alien, just killing for sport. That would make a good movie, having them two fight each other. That'd be so cool.
It would be funny.
But so the cast is great. Even the kid actors are good. The actress who plays the woman, the grown up,
Sarah Whittle.
She's okay. I think she's my only legitimate complaint about this movie, but it's not like terrible Jesse Eisenberg acting from BVS. She's easily better than that. I didn't like how much she was screaming and complaining.
Yeah,
but
I get it.
That's the only part I don't like the cast about.
I get it, but at the same time, her life was ruined at the same time too because of the fact
I guess
because of the game. But let's compare it really. Alan had it worst.
Yeah.
Because he was trapped in the jungle with all those animals and he had to survive.
Yeah, another thing I really like about this movie is, so this was during a time where CG and visual effects were coming into their own as a new norm for Hollywood filmmaking. But despite that, I was still surprised about how much they used practical and animatronic effects.
Like that scene where the lion comes out of the darkness and come down on the piano.
Yeah, only a small percentage of that particular scene is like the CG line where he's like jumping around, but like they use an animatronic head. Claws, I think, are also animatronic.
And the cinematography was just beautiful on that.
Yeah,
It really made it really scary when they made him come out of the darkness, and I'm like, "Jeez, it's a lion!"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh
remember that part where all the like spiders were coming out of the thing, and they were like tickling her leg and everything."
Yeah, I was like,
that's it looks today it looks kind of dumb.
Yeah,
we'll be honest, but
it does.
The movie hasn't aged terribly well. But the fact that they used animatronics to create like 100 different spiders. That was very cool to me because they could have easily screwed it up entirely by using CG spiders that looked terrible.
And then let's not forget the vines coming out when Sarah did her turn earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And then we see that man-eating plant thing all like trying to eat Peter. I mean, the riddle was like, they grow much faster than bamboo or take care, they'll come after you. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I did not like the sound of that at all.
Yeah, it was pretty creepy.
It gets worse. There was a monsoon that they had to deal with, and they had to deal with two crocodiles coming at them. I'm like,
that part scarred me for life. Well, it didn't scar me, but like
scared me
I watched this
as a
movie
kid.
when I was very young, and like this is at the time I was thinking this is supposed to be a fun adventure film, but I was like so scared because the crocodile was very menacing.
And it's funny how it's supposed to be a fun adventure film, but at the same time, it was dark. Like, dude, all this stuff coming out of the African jungle. Like, the reason behind the game being cursed, I've looked it up online. It pretty much says, like, it was supposed to be a truce or a peace treaty between the British Army and the tribesmen of that village. And then all of a sudden, something went wrong. And then while Shaman was bleeding out, he put his bleeding hand on the game board. And he said this: whoever plays the game, or whoever decides to play the game, the consequences will follow you. And from that day on, the game was cursed.
Yeah. Talking about visual effects for the movie, I'll admit that it hasn't aged well. And I looked at a lot of Rotten Tomatoes reviews on this thing because that's what this show is centered on mostly. And a lot of people are criticizing the visual effects for being atrocious. And I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? This is 1995 we're talking about.
Yes.
And they didn't have the budget that T2 had back then.
I guess.
T2 having, if you adjust for inflation, Terminator 2 has like $180 million budget. So they actually, that's part of the reason why they were able to make the CG convincing.
And the effects by Stan Winston. Let's not forget.
That too. And then the thing is, visual effects cost lots of money because even now they take lots of time to render, to keyframe and everything.
Pretty much.
It's very tough to do today, and it was like 3 times as hard back then. And if you adjust for inflation, this movie costs about $100 million.
I mean, with some of the movies, I'm like, come on, guys, give them a break.
Yeah,
it really didn't have much at the time.
Yeah, and it's true, certain movies don't age well, you can tear them apart if you like. But this movie,
it was a fun ride.
Yeah, it was fun, and it's this very star-powered popcorn adventure film that's not meant to be taken too seriously.
Of course not.
Because there's lots of dumb things in this movie, like the whole idea of that cop character,
David Allen Greer,
who he's really looking forward to, like, kicking down the door and everything like that. His whole character I thought was kind of dumb.
No, the part where
dumb but fun.
It was funny when he drove his beat up car to pick up their aunt. And then all of a sudden, you see the vine come out of nowhere, and he goes like,
yeah, he starts screaming. He starts screaming like a little girl. That I admit was pretty good.
Oh God!
And then I think the same guy, doesn't he get his car stolen by some monkeys?
No, that in the beginning.
And then they like steal his shotgun, and then they blast it through the roof. Like this.
Yeah.
Lots of dumb schlock happening.
And then Van Pelt blows up, shoots at the car when he tries to be a cop. Like, drop your gun and get your hands in the air, and then pah, pah, destroys the car even more. And then when Robin Williams' character, Alan Parrish gets arrested by him to get away from Van Pelt, and then all of a sudden they had to drive it through a shopping mall or
that part was
store.
Pretty good. Jonathan Hyde he's a great actor. Like he reminded me of the Terminator in this movie when he's just like following to try and kill them and hunt them all. That guy has very legitimate acting skill. I think he was just the highlight of the movie in some portions. Robin Williams, he's probably the best part, just because he has that charisma and charm and the wit. But like a close second is Jonathan Hyde playing Van Pelt, the hunter.
And Alan and Sarah were almost close to being killed by Van Pelt. And then at that last moment, the dice lands on a certain number. And then Alan reached the end of the game. And then he yelled out Jumanji. And then all of a sudden, the consequences of the game start disappearing.
Yeah.
And back into the board game.
Yeah, and if we're talking about so we've gone over through lots of the positives. If we're talking about the negatives of the movie, it's hard to find some. But once again, I think this movie was divided amongst critics because of the fact that it was very wacky and stupid at points. It was very cornball, goofball type entertainment. They added some schlock in it. Yeah. Because movies got to have their schlock for like the popcorn audience. I think maybe that's why it was divided amongst critics. But I think the critics failed to see the point in that it's not meant to be taken seriously.
No.
And that was at a time when Robin Williams was equal parts comedic and dramatic actor.
The film, I feel like the filmmakers realized what it really was, and they just went with it.
Yeah, because like Joe Johnston, the director, once again, he succeeds in doing this type of thing because Captain America: The First Avenger,
love that movie.
It's his most prolific movie. But if you take a second viewing, you realize there are lots of parts of that movie are kind of stupid and silly. There's this really stupid CGI shot of like Captain America like jumping off of a tank while it explodes and everything.
Yeah.
And then he like throws the shield at the camera for the
realized,
3D effect. It's like Joe Johnston, he likes to make stupid stuff.
Yeah, but I do realize it's a superhero film. I mean, what else do you get with that?
Well, yeah, superhero movies at this point have become very very diverse in genres. There's small scale vigilante. There's large scale world ending movies that don't make any sense whatsoever. And then there's the middle ground where you have movies like The Dark Knight and Logan, which are high on production value, but they're more contained stories.
Not to go off topic here.
But yeah, Joe Johnston, I like him because he knows where his talents lie. There's a reason why he's never made like a British period piece from the 1700s.
Yeah.
He likes making schlock entertainment. He likes making really fun and stupid movies.
That's what we need sometimes, though. That's what I feel like we need sometimes. We don't need to have serious all the time.
Yeah, I feel like Joe Johnston. I feel like Joe Johnston grew up as a kid just stuffing popcorn in his face while watching movies, and he said, "I'm going to do exactly that and have my audiences do the same thing." Yeah. So there's a nice little charm to that.
Yeah,
it's kind of like Fast and Furious movies where they're not good. They're not great movies, but they have their popcorn stuffed eating audience. You know?
I mean, I feel like they realize what the franchise really is, and then it takes it and goes it further. It's like, might as well just be what you really are instead of trying to be something you're not.
Yeah. But yeah, Jumanji's fun. It's a fun ride. There's not much else I can say about it as far as like the negativity goes. Like,
yeah, I didn't really
if you're gonna show your kids this movie, because it's a kids movie, but show it to them when they're approximately 10 to 12 years old.
Yeah,
don't have them watch it when they're 6 or 7, because that's what happened to me, and the movie scared me to death because of that crocodile and the lion and all the nonsense going on.
Oh, and to add to that, you know they're coming out with a sequel for this movie.
Oh my God!
In December, in December, and it stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Kevin Hart, and Jack Black.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, so I would say too soon.
Yes.
I think is the proper way to go. Here's what they should have done. But like, yeah, Robin Williams passed away, so you can't exactly get him to return. And the worst thing you could possibly do is CGI him into the movie. That would be atrocious.
Yeah.
What they should have done, I would have liked an idea if they had maybe
went to the backstory.
A similar comedic actor. Like Jack Black is cool, but like if you have him go into the same routine and then have him encounter somebody in the jungle, similar to like Robin Williams being stuck in the jungle for years, like being stuck in the jungle for 25 years.
26 years.
26 years, being attacked by African
animals and creatures.
That's a more interesting premise than having The Rock, Kevin Hart, and Jack Black trying to like survive everything.
Like avatars of the teenage characters in the film. That's what that is. And it's like,
they go from board game to video game, and
which is odd.
Which, if we're talking about that, video game movies are so good and successful. Oh my God, I love video game movies.
Wrong. Most of them are not. However, I will say this. Mortal Kombat was so close. Look. I get it. It's not really supposed to be like
dumb.
It's dumb, yes, but at the same time, it's Mortal Kombat. I mean, what do you expect with it? It's just, it's characters fighting each other, ripping their heads off, ripping everything off, and it's like, okay, I was not planning on taking that movie
would have been perfect.
Anyway.
That movie would have been perfect if they made it like a hard R movie, and they stopped giving a fuck.
Yeah, but I had a fun time with it.
You can enjoy that movie if you get a big bag of popcorn and just like stuff your face with popcorn and be like, they're fighting, I'm fucking fighting.
Yeah,
you can enjoy that movie like that. But
this is coming from a longtime fan of Mortal Kombat.
Yes. But if I was ever to make a Mortal Kombat movie, I would make it a hard R, faithful adaptation with a serious story.
Yeah.
But we're trashing the new one a lot. Who knows? It might be really good. It might be the same dumb popcorn type of movie. It's probably going to make at least $300 million at the box office.
But my issue with it, for most of all, it's like, how are you going to find out what Alan Parrish left behind if he was in the board game version?
Oh,
of the
so
video
yeah,
game?
Alan Parrish. I guess
Board
you
game
could
version of the
say.
game.
I guess you could say that in the original Jumanji, that Alan perished into the video game.
Into the game.
Huh? Nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, all in all, as far as this new Jumanji goes, I want movies like that to be good. I think it's.
I have a feeling it's not.
I think there's too much unoriginality. I think there's.
Here's what I think they're trying to do. I think they're trying to cram like Jumanji and Breakfast Club together into some mashup. I mean, don't get me wrong. Breakfast Club was a good movie. John Hughes, thank you, man.
But yeah.
But like, can we stop with the Breakfast Club tropes already? Because it's like it's getting played out, and it's making it seem less memorable, and it's making it lose its taste. We need something new and fresh. I mean, I get if you want to bring a story back for a new generation, but did you really have to turn Jumanji into a video game though?
Wait, is he directing this new one?
What?
Jonathan Hughes?
I don't know.
Okay, who the fuck cares?
Yeah. Anyway, we have our doubts.
Yeah. So let's talk about readjusting this unfair score because this movie's fun. You'll enjoy it if you don't take it too seriously. Robin Williams was great. Jonathan Hyde is great. I am taking this personally from a 48% to a solid 72%. What's your readjusted score?
I give it about almost an 80.
An 80?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll average that out and we'll subtitle that score right here because I can't do math to save my own life.
I'm not so good with math either, dude.
Yeah, and I think we're both going to see this new Jumanji film, and we might tear it apart, but we want it to be good. Nothing will probably beat the original because Robin Williams is one of the greatest all-time actors.
Oh, of course.
He has such a great legacy behind him. Rest in peace. God rest his soul.
Yes, thank you for all the memories that you've given us throughout your films.
Yeah, very good stuff. So that's pretty much our closing statement, I would say. Do you want to close this off?
Yeah. Till next time.